Hi there. This week we're going to be talking about business ethics. The reason that we're including this in the finance course is because breaches in ethics often involve money. Ethical breakdown in an organization is usually incremental. No one action signals a breakdown in ethics. The tolerance for small, questionable decisions usually leads to a tolerance for larger, questionable decisions, which leads to an organization where the culture is one of mistrust, fear, bad judgment, and cynicism. Managers, supervisors, chiefs, counselors must realize they're in a leadership position and their behavior is being monitored and evaluated by others in the organization. As such, these leaders must be very aware of the impact of the decisions that they make and must evaluate these decisions in light of possible ethical breaches. Ethical threats can take the form of adverse interests, in that your own interests are opposed to the interests of your employer or client, which may mean that you are not acting objectively. For example, having a financial relationship with a competitor to your employer or client is an adverse interest. Advocacy. You may identify with your client to such an extent that you have lost your objectivity. This might take the form of failing to provide all the information about a client's financial situation to a potential investor or business partner. Familiarity. You may become too sympathetic to a person's interests because of a long or close relationship. For example, advocating that your organization use your family member's company as a preferred supplier is a threat of familiarity. Self-interest. You may know that you can benefit financially from a relationship with an organization that wants to do business with your employer. For example, you hold a financial interest in the organization that wants to do business with your employer, or you stand to profit or receive a bonus from that organization. So you advocate for a business relationship between your employer and that organization. Self-review. A previous judgment that you made in another capacity is used as the basis for new decision-making without reevaluation. An example of this is a decision that you made to work with a particular supplier when you were purchasing office equipment as a purchasing or a facilities manager. And if that becomes the basis of a decision to work with that same supplier for refurbishing the new administration building when you become chief administrative officer, without a process being undertaken to ensure that that company makes sense to work with on this new project, it's an example of a breach in self-review and a threat. Undue influence or intimidation. This threat involves making decisions based on intimidation or pressure from another individual. What do you do in the case of an ethical threat? First of all, evaluate the significance of the threat. Determine whether the threat is something that you can handle by yourself by standing firm on organization and/or professional policy. If you don't feel that you can handle the threat independently, you may apply safeguards. Professional, legal, or regulatory safeguards can be available to you. If you're unfamiliar with the safeguards available to you, you will want to consult someone that you trust in your organization or profession that would be familiar with available safeguards. Employer safeguards can be available to you. Connect with someone that you trust in your organization who would be able to help you understand and enforce policy regarding ethical standards. If safeguards are not enough to eliminate unethical behavior, decline or discontinue the service or relationship. This week we will listen to a TEDx talk entitled, "Why Do Ethics Matter?" given by ethics and compliance expert Shefali Roy. In addition, we're going to look inwards at our own business ethics and compare that against some statistics. We will also listen to a podcast on business ethics by Marianne Jennings, Professor Emeritus of Legal and Ethical Studies at the W.P. Carey School of Business at Arizona State University. We will also examine the University of California Ethics Program as a model for organizational ethics policy, along with the First Nations Code of Ethics, formulated by the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs Youth Secretariat, which summarizes the most important values and teachings that are considered universal to all nations. These 2 links comprise this week's required reading. As always, check out the videos and readings and to-do this week, and I'll see you in the online discussion forums.